Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to channel. Eh, I will explain the BHIC course code 101. The this course is for history honors, Bachelor of Arts in Honors History and or Bachelor of Arts in a first 4 year undergraduate new education process. As per 4 year program, general course. This BAF, BAFHI for BAFHI or and BAHIH students. Let's begin the interesting chapter history. Unit 1 history unit 1 geographical regions and sources. The unit 1 is this geographical regions. This chapter is important because geographical regions are very important in history because without geographical regions the history is incomplete and also environment. It's important to understand the history of environment also as well as humankind environment. Geographical history without geography is largely incomplete and devoid of vital substance. Some geographical regions, specific major geographical units. So far, we have considered of the broad features of the broad geographic division at a general plane. Let us now take up the specific major geographical units which at instances conform to conform to linguistic divisions and look into their traits from a historical perspective. The Himalayas and the Western frontier. The Himalayas can be divided into three broad units: Eastern, Western, and Central. The eastern mountains run to the east of the Brahmaputra in the north-south, extending from Assam to South China. Extending from Assam to South China. Although the routes through the eastern mountains are difficult, that has not prevented the flow of cultural influences from Southeast Asia and South China in the prehistoric and historical times. The central Himalayan region, extending from Bhutan to Chitral, lies at the fringe of the Great Table Land of Tibet. There have been trade and other contacts between India and the Tibet across the frontier. मतलब इंडिया और तिब्बत में ट्रेड होते रहता है, कॉन्टैक्ट्स होते रहता है, बिजनेस okay? The narrow Hindu Kush range extends southwestward from the Himalayas deep into Afghanistan, covering ancient Gandhara. Geographically and culturally, western Afghanistan has been affinities with eastern Iran, but southeast Afghanistan has been culturally close with the Indian subcontinent right since the Neolithic age. The Khyber Pass and other passes and the Kabul River link it with the Indus Plains. It is no surprise that the site sought to Gai in this part of Afghanistan was a trading outpost of the Harappan civilization. Ancient towns like Kabul and Kandahar are situated on trade routes between Iran and Iraq. The great routes connecting the Indian plains with the Iran and the Central Asia through Afghanistan runs through the Gumal, Bolan and Khyber passes. These routes have brought in traders, invaders and varied cultural influence all through the historic times and even before the Greek. Sakas, Kusanas and Hunas and other made their entry into India through these routes. Buddhism and other aspects of Indian civilization entered Afghanistan and Central Asia through these passes. Historical, thus the Afghan and Balochistan hills have been an important frontier zone. यही वो रास्ता जहाँ से सब आया था. The Indus Plains. The passes lead to the rich plains of the Indus, which can be divided into two regions, Punjab and Sindh. Punjab, today divided between India and Pakistan, literally means the land of five rivers. These are Pakistan पांच नदी है. These are Ravi, Beach, Chenab, Jhelum, and Sutlej. These five tributaries of the Indus flowing across a vast alluvial plain have made the region the bread basket of the subcontinent. Punjab has been meeting place and the melting pot of cultures. The lower Indus Valley and the delta constitute Sindh. Sindh is situated by the Indus and produces large quantities of rice and wheat. As mentioned earlier, the Indus Plain has nurtured the subcontinent for first urban culture during the later third and early second millennium BCE. Two of its major cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, are located in Punjab and Sindh respectively. The Gangetic Northern Plain. The Northern Plain can be divided into three subregions: upper, middle, and lower. The upper plains in western and central Uttar Pradesh largely include the Doab. This has been an area of conflict and cultural synthesis. There is increasing evidence of the extension of the Harappan cultures into this zone. This was also the center of the painted grave where culture and the scene of pulsating activity in the later Vedic period. At the confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna, at the terminal point of Doab in Prayagraj and Sindh Prayaga, the middle Ganga plains correspond to eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. This is where ancient Kosala, Kasi, and Magध were situated. It was the center of city life and money, economy, and trade since the 6th century BCE. This region provided the basis for modern imperial expansion, and it continued to be politically important till the Gupta period, 5th century CE. The upper and middle Ganga plains are geographically defined by the Himalayas on the north and the central Indian hills on the south. The lower plains are coterminous with the province of Bengal. The wide plains of Bengal are formed by alluvium brought by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. The Ganga plains have nurtured greater number of settlements and have sustained a higher population density than other similar regions. It has been heartland of Indian civilization from the first millennium BCE through the classical phase up to the present. Adjoining the Bengal plains is the long Assam Valley produced by the Brahmaputra. It spreads over more than 600 kilometers. Culturally, Assam is close to Bengal, but in terms of historical development, it emerges as a late starter like Odisha. Eastern, Western, and Central India. Central India is an entirely Central India is an entirely different region and does not have a central focal point. Central India. The southeastern part of the state of the east of the Aravallis is a part of a sub-region called Malwan. Because of fertility of the soil, the region yields good crops. Chalcolithic settlements are distributed in good numbers in the region. Given its geographical location, it must have acted as a bridge between the Harappans and the other Chalcolithic communities in central India and the northern Deccan. Central India constitutes the present-day states of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The central Indian belt, especially southern Bihar, western Odisha, and eastern Madhya Pradesh, has been an area of tribal concentration. Cultural influences from adjoining regions have influenced and integrated the tribals into the dominant caste peasant base of Indian society from early historic time and more so from the Gupta period. The Gupta period. Gujarat is situated on the western fringe of the central Indian belt. It consists of three natural divisions: Saurashtra, Anartha, and Gujarat and Lata as Gujarat. Southern Gujarat, not Gujarat. The central peninsula of Gujarat is called Kathiawar. The low-lying run of Kutch is another feature which during the monsoon turns into a swamp. Although Gujarat appears to have been a zone of isolation, actually it is a region of continuous ancient settlement dating back from the Harappan period because of its protected position and the lengthy coastline. Gujarat has been the focus of coastline and external trade for more than 4,000 years to the southwest of the delta. of the Ganga at the eastern end of the hills of central India and are the coastal plains of Odisha. Not only has it been an agrarian base but also center of socio-cultural development, Odisha began to develop her linguistic and cultural identity late in the first millennium peninsular in India. The Deccan Plateau and the surrounding coastal plains define the contours of peninsular India. The plateau is divided into four major regions which largely correspond to the states of Maharashtra, Andhra, Telangana, and Karnataka. Neolithic settlers in southwestern Andhra based themselves on pastoralism as an adaptability strategy. The Salkulit communities of the northern Deccan increasingly relied on agriculture. The extreme south, the wide eastern coastal plain in the south and its adjoining hinterland constitute Tamil Nadu. The Kaveri plain and its delta constitute its epicenter. The rivers in the region being seasonal, the peasants of the region relied on tank irrigation since the Pallava solar times. The ecological variations which supported alternative at times interrelated ways of life are attested to in the Sangam literature. The western coastal plain too broadens uh, the the western coastal plain too broadens in the extreme south and corresponds to the region known as Malabar on the present state of Kerala. In addition to rice and other crops, Kerala produces pepper and spices which have been traded with the West since post-modern times. Relatively isolated by land, Kerala has been open to the sea and interestingly, first the Christian and the Christian and then the Muslim influence here came by sea. Uneven patterns of the emergence of historical regions. It should be remembered that in history the processes of the emergence of regions have been uneven. The uneven pattern of cultural growth of the and the differential configuration of historical forces in the numerous regions were greatly influenced by geography. The uneven development of regions can be demonstrated through interesting historical situations. For example, in the second half of the third millennium BC, on encounters Mesolithic cultures in Gujarat, and at the same time, Neolithic cattle keepers were traversing the landscape of the Deccan. What is striking is that the mature, advanced Harappan civilization coexisted with these cultural and regions at different levels of growth. Such tendencies have persisted all through Indian history. To put it differently, will the Indus and Saraswati basins were colonized in the third millennium. The nature of regions, yet another way to classify regions. Discuss the three main physiographic divisions of India in 5 lines each. Write a note on the nature of regions. Discuss the three main physiographic divisions of India in 5 lines each. Sources for the study of ancient Indian history. Literary, archaeological, and foreign. Three sources. Literary, literary. The written part is known as literally the archaeological foreign accounts. The manuscript sources inscription published material. There are some crucial steps which need to be taken care of when one is studying text for historical information. Upinder Singh has pointed out that if the text was composed at a specific period, then its use as historical source is unproblematic. However, the exercise becomes much more complex if the composition extends over a long period of time. For example, in case of Indian epic Mahabharata, it is difficult to bracket it as a text composed at a specific point of time. In such cases, the historian has to sift through various chronological layers and look critically into various additions and interpolations. Language, style, and context of a text have to be analyzed. In the case of both Mahabharata and Ramayana, critical additions have been made where different manuscripts of these texts have been analyzed and an attempt has been made to identify their original code. Certain questions have to be kept in mind while studying text. For example, why were they composed? For whom? What was their social and cultural context? A text may represent an ideal and must have been taken not be taken as a description of what was actually happening at that time. Text like so many of Indian religious texts may contain myths which may they have pointers to historical information but should be studied with caution. Literary sources. Most of the most of the early Indian literature contains much that deals with um, religious theology, cosmology. It's religious theology, cosmogony, magic, ritual, prayer, and there are problems. There are problems associated with dating this text since their period of composition and compilation differ by a wide margin as their subject matter is theology or religion. It is difficult to understand them historically. The Vedas, Upanishads, Brahmanas, Shastra, literature, epics, and Puranas, etc., deal broadly with non-secular themes. Non-secular themes. We will be studying these different categories of early Indian literature. Source: Indian history. Vedas. The list from Vedas is in Sanskrit. The word Veda is from Sanskrit, which means know. Veda means knowledge. They are oral literature for excellence. They are traditionally regarded as heard or revealed text. The Vedic literature consists of three different classes of literary work, which are Rig Veda Samhita, Atharva Veda Samhita, Samveda Samhita, Yajurveda Samhita, Brahmanas, Aryanas, first six, Upanishad. Archaeology is a branch of knowledge that studies material culture to understand the past. It has come history, sculpture, pottery remains, bone fragments, house remains, temple remnants, coins, seals, inscription, floral remains like charred grains, ancient pollen and sports, etc. Pollen and sports, etc. constitute material culture that forms the subject matter of archaeology. It is the archaeological evidence that has permitted up to study the prehistoric It is archaeological evidence that has permitted us to study the prehistoric period. In India, even proto-historic period has been considered on the basis of archaeology. However, we cannot limit the usefulness of archaeology to this periods alone. It is significant even for those periods which have written evidence and which fall in the sphere of Indian history proper. For example, the history of Indo-Greeks has been reconstructed solely on the basis of coins, like excavation and exploration are important as they provide significant amount of data on trade, state economy, societal aspects, religion and such mundane aspects like how people lived, ate and clothed themselves. Excavation have provided immense amount of data bearing on the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Iron Age, Megalithic and many other cultures. Since Harappan script is still undeciphered, information about this period has been solely obtained from archaeology. It tells us about origin, spread, settlements pattern, town planning, trade, polity, economy, agriculture, hunting, crops, agricultural implement, technology, beads, seals, fire, altars, religion, and how this civilization declined. Coins. Coins have been found either in excavation as archaeological finds or as hoards. The study of coins is called numismatics. Coinage is metal currency and has a definite shape, size, and weight standard. It also bears the stamp of the issuing authority. The side of the coin which carries the message is called obverse, and the opposite side is reverse. The second urbanization in the early Indian history is the first instance where we find literary and archaeological evidence of coinage. This was the time of emergence of states, growth of towns and cities, and spread of agriculture and trade. Coins in early India were made of copper, silver, gold, and lead. Coin molds have made of burnt clay dating to Kusana period. First 3 centuries of the Common Era have been found in hundreds. They point to the increased commerce during this time. Most of the coins belonging to major dynasties have been catalogued and published. The earliest coins in the subcontinent are punch-marked coins. These are mostly of silver and sometimes of copper. With the expansion of Magadhan Empire, the Magadhan type of punch-marked coins replaced those which were issued by other states. Through the earliest coins carried only symbols. The later ones had figures of kings, divinities, and also divines, kings, divinities, and also mention the dates and names. For example, Western Satrapa coin give date in Sakra era. This is coin of Gupta gold coin depicting Queen Kumara Devi and King Chandragupta I. The study of inscription is called epi- epigraphy. Inscriptions are carved on seals, foreign accounts. Hyun Tasan, I think Chinese monk Hyun San on his journey to India. Many travelers come to India as pilgrims, traders, settlers, soldiers, and ambassadors. They have left behind accounts of places they visited and things they saw. If studies with the due caution. These accounts give a lot of valuable information. The Greek writer mentions Sandrokotas, who is said to have met Alexander as a young man. In the 18th century, William Jones identified Sandrokotas with Chandragupta Maurya, which formed the basis of modern chronology. Seleucus envoy Megasthenes wrote the Indica, an account of his stay at the court of Chandragupta Maurya, where he was the Greek ambassador. Through this text is no longer there. Subsequent writers refer to certain portions of it, and it has been possible to reconstruct the administrative structure, social classes, and economic activities of the modern period. Greek and Roman accounts give useful information about the Indian Ocean trade in early India. The periplus of the Erythraean Sea, um, 80 to 115 CE, and Ptolemy Geography 150 CE, both written in Greek, give information, uh, give information about geography and ancient trade. Early Greek and Latin works by Strabo, Ariane, Pliny, and the Elder tell us about oceanic trade of the pilgrims. Mention may be made of Faxing and Hume Tsan, who were Chinese Buddhist monks who visited India and have left behind travel accounts. They visited many holy places and Buddhist shrines. Faxing traveled the state from 399 414 CE and were confined to northern India. Hume Tsan left his home in 639 CE and spent over 10 years traveling India. First, he has described the social, religious, and economic conditions during the Gupta and Hume Tsan during Harshvardhan's times. In later periods, Arab scholars such as Al-Biruni, who belong to the region of Naib, modern Turkmenistan, visited India to learn about its people, its and study in nature and covers topics like Indian script sciences, geography, astrology, astronomy, philosophy, literature, beliefs, customs, religious festival, rituals, social norms and laws. His work is a valuable source for 11th century India and he was the first to have identified the initial year of the Gupta era. Arabs and Indians were involved in oceanic trade and Arab accounts such as that of Sulaiman mention India. Check what is a Veda. Discuss the Third Veda briefly. Vast is archaeology. Enumerate the main archaeological sources for the reconstruction of ancient Indian history. Summary the Himalayas. Summary. The Himalayas in the north and the ocean in the south, southwest, southeast created superficially of the isolation of the Indian subcontinent. Cultural influence has been exchanged across these frontiers and there have been maritime contact with the West Asia and Southeast Asia. Internally, even the rugged, difficult terrain of central India has not really impeded the movement of ideas and influences between the varied regions of the country admittedly. Geography and environment influence historical development considerably, even if they do not define it intently. Inscriptions tell us a lot about historical events which occurred at a specific time and place. However, inscription and literally text mostly represent the voice of the elite, the kings, brahmanas, court poets, etc. Here, archaeological sources came to the rescue. They may voice the sediments of what the common folks felt. So and live. Excavation, particularly, are a useful source. Still, we need to study archaeology in relation to literary evidence. Many a times, many, many times, if we juxtapose these two categories of evidence, we find that we find that each corrects and substantiates the other, and a more complete picture can be arrived at. Keywords archaeology, the study of materials remains to understand the past. Calculate the cultural stage post Neolithic, which is characterized by the use of stone and copper. The surrounding of or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. In Eology, a speech of or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly, a kind of tribute. Paleobotany, the study of fossil plants. This is a branch of paleontology dealing with the recovery and identification of plant remains from geographical context and their use for the biological reconstruction of the past. Paleobotany is the study of plant fossils. This is a branch of paleontology dealing with the recovery and identification of plant. This paleobotany, the study of fossil plants. This is a branch of paleontology dealing with the recovery and identification of plant remains from geological context and their use for the biological reconstruction of the past. This is a branch of paleontology dealing with the recovery and identification of plant remains. This is a branch of paleontology. Plant remains from geological context and their plant fossil plants is branch of paleontology dealing with the recovery and identification of plant remains from geological conditions and their use of for the biological purification of the past. ये पैलेडोबॉटनी है वो स्टडी है प्लांट फॉसिल जो प्लांट के रिमेन्स है उसको स्टडी करते हैं और उसका उसका रिकवरी मतलब करने की कोशिश करते हैं आइडेंटिफाई करने का वो क्या कौन सा क्लासिफिकेशन से था कौन सा डिवीजन से था कौन फैमिली जीनस ये सब आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं जो जियोलॉजिकल कंटेक्स्ट जो रिमेन्स है और उससे बायोलॉजिकल जो पास्ट में कैसा बायोलॉजिकल एनवायरनमेंट था उसका रिकंस्ट्रक्ट कर पाते हैं ओके salination the process of increasing the salt content of the soil answers to check your progress the main physiography division of India are Himalayan influence paleobotany the study of fossil plant and पैलियोबॉटनी वो होता है जो जो प्लांट के रिमेन्स है उसको स्टडी करते हैं पैलियोबॉटनी नहीं है जो रिकवरी आइडेंटिफाई करने की कोशिश करते हैं फैमिली जीनस जो कौन सा फैमिली से है कौन सा जीनस है कौन सा डिवीजन है कौन सा क्लास से बिलोंग करता है वो जियोलॉजिकल टाइम पे इस पर आती है इससे हम लोग बायोलॉजिकल हिस्ट्री जो पास्ट में कैसा इन्वायरमेंट है वो चीज रिकंस्ट्रक्ट कर पाते पता कर पाते हैं आंसर टू चेक योर प्रोग्रेस एक्सरसाइज चेक योर प्रोग्रेस एक्सरसाइज वन द मेन फिजियोग्राफिक डिविजन ऑफ इंडिया Himalayan uplands, Indo-Gangetic plains, and Peninsula of India. Here you will be discussing the nature of regions. The regions can be as per nuclear regions, area of relative isolation and areas of isolation. You will have to discuss the characteristics of each. See section. Check your progress. The word Veda is derived from the root Ved, which means to know. The Veda means knowledge. There are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Samveda, Astarveda, Yajurveda. Archaeology is that branch of knowledge that studies material culture in order to understand the past. Archaeology के excavation coins and inscriptions are the main archaeological sources. Excavation, exploration coin and inscriptions are the main archaeological sources for the reconstruction of ancient Indian history. Unit 2 Prehistoric period. In next lecture, I will start this unit 2. Thank you.